Happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode, I guess we'd say, of the Good Natured Hour. Boy, how about that storm we had, huh? I have to say, so still got our little buddy here, Euro Mantis. I think she's right. Let's see if I can get her out while we're talking. I've probably mentioned before that one of the difficulties in keeping bugs is keeping them hydrated, keeping them humid enough if they're living in our indoor human environments. So as much as I can, I put little Manny outside. By the way, I'm not sure if Manny is actually a man. Look at, I don't know if you can see, she's got her wings in the way. The abdomen on this little creature is starting to grow. And we don't usually see that in the males. It's usually just in the females where that abdomen starts to get kind of portly, even if they haven't mated. There, now you can see it. Even if they haven't mated, they do produce egg cases that just have infertile eggs in them. So I apologize if I led you astray earlier in the summer. I bet you if I counted now, we would find more abdominal segments, and we'd find out that Manny is Manny. Anyway, I left her outside today, as I often do, out here on the deck, where she can have the outdoor humidity that's a little more appropriate for her body. And when I got home, this little container had water up to here. So some of it might have been runoff over the gutters. I've been having a little issue with this back gutter on my house, but anyway, we got a lot of water in a very short period of time. Hope you all made it through safely. I'm never gonna complain about the rain because it seems like we're these days always running at a little bit of a deficit. But anyway, let's sit back, have a little beverage, and enjoy some good nature. Oh, before we get started, a couple of chats. So Chris, you're down in Aurora, right? Yeah, only sprinkles down there. And John, you said you're having a hard time hearing. Let me adjust the microphone. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit higher. In fact, I could even hold it if that's better. Let me just make sure I've got everything working right too, because there's always that, you know. Let's try this. I bet this is going to help a lot because I actually had them on backwards. All right. So hopefully, John, thank you for mentioning that. Hopefully that fixes the problem. Now I can see the output dial is registering now. So we were going to have another little tech adventure in a little while too, as we have our special guest join us from Arizona. I had to laugh. And Kim, I don't know if you've joined us yet via phone, but she emailed me just a few minutes ago that her laptop was acting up. And I said, Kim, no worries. People, I think, actually expect technical problems during this hour. So anyway, we might get to see her smiling face. We might just hear her smiling voice. But anyway, with that,
Can you hear me, Pam?
I can.
Yay. Okay. I still can't get the Zoom link to open on my computer, but I'm on my phone and I can see you.
You can see us?
I can see you. Yes.
Oh,
I don't know how to make you see me on here because I've never done this on my phone.
Yeah, you know, and I wish I could be tech support, but
that's okay.
I just barely squeak through on my own. So. But I'm glad you're here, Kim. And if you can see the screen, then when we get to your segment, you can just tell us your story. Does that sound good?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, let's get you reacquainted. So everybody, this is Kim joining us from our new hometown of Tucson, Arizona, which is actually your second new hometown since you left Illinois, right? You left Sedona.
Right.
For the
we were in Sedona for 10 years.
Wow, I can't believe it.
I know.
Well, we'll put some Illinois back in you this evening. Get you caught
Thanks,
up
I
on-
would like that.
It's nice and humid here.
Not here.
Bet you missed that.
No, not at all.
We'll have to do a special, maybe like Arctic. What do they call those clippers? You know that we get in the winter. Um, the cold weather.
The really horrible freezing cold weather.
Yeah, we
that
can
you
we
have,
can
yeah.
do a special one for you for that too, Kim. If you
Oh,
you
thanks.
get
Yeah,
really homesick.
no, I miss you guys, but I can't say I miss winter. I can promise you that. It was in the 90s here today, which is fine with me.
Oh golly, bless you. It was actually pretty warm here to you. I actually didn't thought I was gonna think I would ever say this, but it was so warm the last couple of days that I'm actually looking forward to the 60-degree temperature that we'll be teaching in on Friday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's a big switch.
Yeah, it's life in Northern. I think tomorrow's the first day of fall, isn't it? So
Yeah, it probably is.
it's about time. Well, how about if I share just a little bit about what's been going on around here the last week or so, and then Kim will flip it over to you maybe around 8:30 or so, or 6:30 your time.
It would be 6:30 my time. That's great.
Oh gosh, we're interrupting your dinner hour.
No, not at all.
All right, well, sit tight. Let's explore the last couple of days that we've had around here. I'm going to do a screen share here, and I'm going to pull up this week's slideshow. There we go. How about that? Does everybody see a rainy motorcycle?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's what we had here. So this was not the best day for Miss Pam to take her bike to work. But yeah, luckily, this didn't last long. Within 10 minutes, this was the view. This was, I was sitting in the Park District van waiting for an opportunity to hop on my bike. I'm only live about a mile from where I parked the vehicle, so it actually turned out okay. Just another crazy Northern Illinois weather day. But it was rain, and I'm not going to complain because I know we needed it. It did though. There were some things that I wasn't really planning on including this evening that I'm going to go ahead and do. Starting with, let's go with this. We're going to go back a week. Now, this was last Tuesday evening, right after I left you guys. Last week's program we did from the native plant garden at Pottawatomie. And this is, you'll notice, not the native plant garden. This is the entrance to the Pottawatomie Community Center. That big pole in the middle is the flagpole. And to the left, we have our, looks like, what is that, New Guinean patience in the planter there. And then look at this magnificent spider web right here. I've always wondered how bright lights affect, like, the spiders, I don't think use their eyes as much when they're in a web. I think they feel a lot of vibrations. They've got all those hairs on their legs. They've got those sensitive claws on their feet. But my goodness, this is such a bright light. And these spiders, these orb weavers, they orient downward. So that light is pretty much right in her face all night long. But it must be worth it. A lot of insects are drawn to those lights. So maybe she just figured it was worth a little discomfort. Maybe they are blinded by the light. I don't know, but really a cool looking web and a really neat sight to see as I was leaving you all last week. Now, last week it was cooler out. I want to say it was in the 60s. I know I had a jacket on for the program, and as I went out to my car, I could hear up in the trees So that's katydid, but it's calling. It's calling at a really slow pace. Now, all right, you don't need to keep listening to him. Katydid. Um, you know, the orthopterans are katydids, are crickets, are grasshoppers. You probably heard you can tell the temperature based on the pace of their calls. There are some, actually the snowy tree cricket is known as the temperature cricket. You count the number of calls in a certain number of seconds, and then I think you add, I think it's 40, and you get the temperature. And then there's variations on that formula that you can apply to other species as well. I just like to listen to them, and when they're slow, you know, it's cooler, and when they're calling really fast, you know, it's warmer. But the katydid sound that always makes me laugh. One of my very first calls that I took as an employee here at the St. Charles Park District, we didn't even have the nature center yet. The call came in at the parks office, and they flipped it over to me because of its nature. And the woman was a little, shall we say, irritated at the park district. She said that her son wasn't sleeping well because our bugs were keeping him awake at night. And it was August, so it was katydid season. And I always think of her. I think I told her about how, you know, they are a very interesting insect. They're an integral part of our local ecology. They feed lots of creatures, both nocturnal and diurnal animals. I don't know how much of it she bought, but I do always wonder, because that kid, that would have been 15 years ago. I pictured him as a baby. Maybe I was wrong even then. Maybe he's 30 years old now. I don't know. But I just, you know, picture some kid who, you know, had to put up with this you know, the constant calling of katydids as he was trying to sleep. I don't know. I think it's a really happy sound. It makes me think of warm summer nights just like this. But yeah, they'll be calling now until we get a frost. In the first frost doesn't usually kill them all off, but as we go on and on, they get fewer and fewer. And then some chilly night in late October, November, we'll have maybe just a soloist out there singing away, hoping maybe there's one more female out there that could be attracted. But anyway, the call of the katydid, the sound of summer. So we're going to stay with the orthopterans for another couple of slides. This was something that I really, I wasn't looking for. And that's oftentimes how you find the best things. I mentioned the little praying mantis, and I try as I might, I have just not gotten any better at catching flies for, in fact, I actually broke down today and I bought 2 dozen more crickets for it, because I just, I'm spending sometimes an hour at a time to catch 2 or 3 flies. So I was going by the pet store today. So little Manny, a female praying mantis, is well supplied now with victuals. But the other day when I was just kind of dragging my little butterfly net, thank you very much, Susie. I was dragging my net around the yard, just hoping, you know, I could catch anything. And I look and I find this in there. I thought, what in the world is this? Let's zoom in. At first I thought this was a type of cricket with an ovipositor. And then I looked again. Let's go. I don't know if you can see any better from the next slide. I took this one. So this was so small that the lip balm was too scary for it. Every time I put the lip balm down, it would jump. So for scale, this is a zinnia seed, which is, I don't know, maybe a ½ an inch long, if even, probably even a little smaller than that. But what's protruding out the back here, it's not a wing cover, and it's not an ovipositor. It is actually part of the pronotum, which is one of the coverings that shields the back. When we talked about ladybugs several weeks ago, I talked about the pattern on the pronotum, which is in ladybugs, it's the disc, I would say an oval shaped disc that helps protect the head. On lightning bugs, the pronotum is that orange part and the head is underneath up at the front of the body. Well, the pronotum on these pygmy grasshoppers extends all the way down the body. The wings then come out from underneath here. I haven't had a chance to try and key it out any farther than the family of pygmy grasshopper, but it was a really neat find, and I don't know if there's other ones around. I'm gonna hope that maybe there are, so that I can have more in my yard in the future. But I did spare it. I did not feed it to the praying mantis. So maybe you've got pygmy grasshoppers in your yard too. So this is a bar. This is a bar in South Elgin. I was up here. Susie, this is the one you and I had gone to in South Elgin a few weeks ago, after that museum crawl that we went to up in Elgin. I'm hoping there'll be more so I can promote that, because that was a super fun, super nerdy evening, fun way to spend a summer night up in Elgin. But so this is a bar and grill on Route 31. It's called RK's Place. It's the only place I know of that has ashtrays outside. They actually encourage smoking amongst their patrons. It's like a throwback to, in fact, they kept playing 70s music. So it was like a step back in time 50 years. Anyway, not why we're talking about it this evening. The reason I brought it up tonight is I'm going to try and zoom in so you can see what lives across the street from this throwback bar. It's a white squirrel. I don't think it's an albino. Let me see if there's another picture here that I took of it. It was foraging there amongst the bushes, but we asked the waitress about it, and she said, "Oh yeah, that's our mascot." You let your mascot play next to a state highway? Well, anyway, it was a neat thing to watch, even if it was all the way across the road. And I tell you, we were not the only ones there watching it. This is the view from the other side of, looking the other way. Yep, that's a red-tailed hawk that flew in too. So it is facing the other direction. The space behind this bar and grill is an open, naturally, in fact, there's signs that say "Do not mow, restoration in progress." So I don't know who owns the chunk of land behind the bar. It's actually right next to a little community surrounding a little lake. I think it's an old quarry that is filled in now with water. But some really cool nature right there, the old bar and grill, where they actually encourage people to smoke.
Along with an ashtray.
Yes, with ashtrays.
The ashtray bar and grill.
Their food is actually really good. Susie can
Their fish fry is
and the
phenomenal.
burgers. Yeah, check it out if you're in the area. So Jerry, this is thanks to you. We're going to talk a little bit about sleeping bees. I don't know if you had any chance to read up on this phenomenon. I did just a little bit, and a lot of the bees, it turns out, that you find sleeping at this time of year are the homeless males. They're not particularly welcome back in their hives, but they still have to eat. So they batch it out there in the flowers. I love these though, Jerry. If we go from the high and dry bee to the soaking wet bees.
I felt so bad for them.
But I loved your description of the grappling hook.
Right?
Grappling hook claws.
It made me think of something that Batman would have in his belt.
Yeah. Well, didn't he had something like that. That's how he and Robin would climb up the side of the buildings. He would throw
Exactly.
that up. Then they'd walk up. I remember trying to do that with some friends on the side of their garage. We were like 6. It didn't work. But yeah, sleeping bees. This is a great time of year to be looking for them. The ones you sent, Jerry, were all bumblebees.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was just bumblebees or other bees do it too.
So a couple of years ago, we had a bee walk. There's a local fellow here named Terry Measley, and he is a native bee expert. And he had done a walk up at what's now known as John Dewar Forest Preserve, used to be Black Hawk Forest Preserve up on Route 31, about maybe a mile or so from RK's Bar and Grill, where they have ashtrays. Terry took us out in a couple of the fields there that are undergoing some restoration, and he was showing us different types of bees and talking about their habits. Well, what he showed us was the morning glories, the bindweed that's there. He said that these are really common. Watch it again. These are really common places to find sleeping bees too. Now, I kind of wonder if this might be a male as well. So this is one of our metallic sweat bees. And it was, if we back this up here, you can see it was curled up inside the flower. Then it woke up and took off. Watch it one more time. But yeah, we spent a lot of time during Terry's class heading over to these bindweed flowers and looking inside of them. So I would imagine this would be true of other bell-shaped flowers as well. It offers.
My neighbor says they hang out inside his zucchini blossoms.
Oh, there's another one. Oh, and a zucchini.
Yeah.
Man, that's like a Taj Mahal.
Yeah, when I looked up, and I don't remember if the source was a good one or not, but it said that the flowers can be a degree or two or just a little bit warmer than the outside air, which would make sense with something like a bindweed or a squash blossom. But the cup plant flowers, there's no protection. It's just a place to.
That might just be, yeah, you know, they're it's like a bed and breakfast, you know, they sleep and they eat. And yeah, and I do remember Terry talking about some protection from the weather too, but I don't remember if he was talking about temperature or if it was more precipitation or heavy dew. But yeah, so remember that, guys, next time you're out, if it's morning. Jerry, what time did you take your photos? Was it in the morning?
Yeah, but the ones that were wet took forever to get going because they were in the shade for quite some time. So they didn't start motivating until I would say 10:30.
Okay.
When the sun finally hit them.
Yeah, I suppose.
But they're there after I drop my son off at school, and I don't get home until, like 8:30 or so, and they're usually still some sleeping on there.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to start looking a little more in earnest on mine. Like, I see a lot of bees, and I also see wasps on the goldenrod, later in the day foraging. I wonder if wasps sleep outside too. If, do they head home at night, or do they choose a plant to sleep on too? Tell you, anytime you learn one thing, it always sparks 10 more questions, doesn't it? But I appreciate you sending those pictures, Jerry, because that's it's a fun phenomenon. It's something we can all look for in these waning days of summer and these early days of fall.
The bumbles are so cute too.
Yeah, you can pet them too.
I did that. I wasn't sure if I should mention it, but I have pet them.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll give it a try. Every once in a while, somebody will say, "Oh yeah, I petted a bumblebee and it stung me." I'd say, a sleeping bumble would be less likely. Well, and if it's a male, it can't sting anyway. So maybe
Yeah, they
those.
just kind of wiggle their antennas and almost stretch a little bit.
Aw. Are they
I
purring?
haven't tried to rub their bellies yet. I feel like that's a step too far.
Well, yeah, maybe we ease into that gently.
Exactly.
stick with right behind the wings. Well, we go from one Aston sister to another. Laura, this is your little fledgling goldfinch, right?
Yeah, on the bush, actually it was, it's been there for 3 days on the bush in front of my house.
And at first you were worried about it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know, maybe it was too young of a fledge, but it seemed really alert until yesterday. I was coming home from Meyer, and I finally heard mom calling near the fledge. And then I ran inside the house and watched from my window, and she came down and appeared to be feeding it. So
Aw.
yeah, so she or the fledge, made it through that we had some
Good
pretty bad
hail.
hail. Yeah, I mean, it was dime sized by me, and well, probably by you too.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so I was really worried, but it's still there today, and I wasn't home most of the day, but it's so cute, and it's absolutely like almost tame.
Aw.
I mean, I can get my fingertip within like 2 inches of it, and it doesn't do anything.
Well,
So,
that's the way the picture Mrs. Tricia sent too. Now, this is not a Kansas City goldfinch fledgling. This was sent. So this Tricia's brother lives here in Northern Illinois, and he sent it to her in Kansas City, and then she sent it back over here to get an ID. So it's another Northern Illinois goldfinch, but also super tame and fledging at what looks like some sort of community event. It might be, I know Tricia's brother goes to car shows. It looks like it, other than the absence of cars, it might be a car show.
That's what I was thinking. It probably was. Maybe, I don't know if it would be out more like in the Elgin area. I don't know. Batavia.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on every weekend, but it was weird. You sent me that, and then Laura, you sent this one, and finches are our latest nesting songbirds. They always wait till the thistle in the area has gone to seed because they use that soft down to line their nests as well as feeding on the seeds themselves. So I don't know if they're all fledging right now or if this was 2 cases of some particularly late fledges, but in both cases, the little ones seem really comfortable, perhaps too comfortable around their human neighbors.
Pam, I also noticed the goldfinches. I have a bunch of Joe Pyeweed they were, they seem to be, well, the sparrows and the finches seem to be like feeding off of, but I have seen sparrows actually carry that fluff before too. So I wonder if they use that at all too for their,
I bet they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Because I've got some Joe Pye in my front yard I need to pay more attention to.
Yeah, we got new windows, so I can see my Joe Pyeweed. So it's just, now it's almost all gone, the seeds are close to being gone. But in the morning I used to just watch the sparrows and the finches just having a grand old time.
Yes. Well, and I tell you, that's such a great way to feed the birds too. You don't have to, scrub the plants out or anything. You just
Yeah.
let them feed away. Yeah, I'll have to look. I saw, I got all excited, but it didn't last long. There 2 cedar waxwings landed in the cedar tree that's growing right above the Joe Pye.
Oh.
And I thought, oh boy, because this is the time of year when they're young have all fledged and they're traveling in pretty good sized flocks. But these 2 apparently couldn't attract the rest of the group, and then they flew off, I guess to go be with their buddies. But I'm going to keep an eye out too to see if they'll fly in as well.
I keep hoping they'll hit. I let a giant pokeberry go in my garden, much to my husband's dismay, but right next to our porch. And I would keep hoping for the cedar waxwings, but I've gotten 2 robins, and then the catbird that just keeps on returning and returning. But it's always giving its annoyed call. It's not doing, yeah. I'm like, no, do something pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're at that stage of the game. They're like, they just want to fill up on berries and then leave. They're maybe trying to teach the kid what to eat, try this, try that.
You sure know when it's there, though. You can't miss it.
It's funny. I wonder if we have the same one. Other people that are listening, Laura and I live, 3 blocks apart?
Yeah.
No, 4 blocks.
Most. Yeah.
From 3rd to 7th, yeah. So we probably share some catbirds.
Yeah. Owls and all sorts of things.
Yeah. Well, I'll look see if the little finches, when they fledge, if they come over this way. And oops, darn it, I bunched. Well, not darn it. This is great. I wanted to give you more of a lead in, Kim.
No problem.
I actually, I bumped the advanced arrow. Everybody, this is Kim is joining us this evening. She saw this incredible sight. What was this now? 2 weeks ago or so?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
And boy, I would pay anything to see something like this, Kim. I know this isn't your favorite animal in the world, but boy, it was so cool. Let me see. I'm going to stop this share. I'm going to see if I can get the video to play. Okay.
Okay.
Everybody, cross your fingers and toes, because you know how this usually goes for me. But let's see. Let's back it up and let's let it play. We'll let it play. All right, we'll let it play. I have to drag this. Can everybody see the snakes?
I can see them.
Yeah, I can see them.
Yes.
Well, we're gonna watch it in slow motion then, because
Might be even better.
somebody play the flute now.
We need the cobra music.
So these are black-tailed rattlesnakes, right, Kim?
Correct.
Are those a common species? We can watch them.
Somewhat. I didn't know till after moving to Arizona that we actually have about 14 species of venomous snakes. I don't know if that would have impacted my decision to come here. I had put this, I didn't know for sure. I knew they were rattlers, but I didn't know what kind. So I follow a really good wildlife page here. So I put the video up and asked, and everybody said black-tailed rattler. Okay. I'm better than I used to be with them, but I would still have a hard time like going through pictures of every rattlesnake to figure out which one I was looking at.
Wow. Well, these look like good size snakes too. These don't look like little garters.
No, they were pretty good size. And in the still photo that you showed, as I'm walking up the trail, I spotted some movement and stopped. And my first thought was, oh my God, it's a 2-headed snake. Because there were a lot of grasses in front of them and I could just see, the upper part. And of course, one snake is enough for me. And then I realized there were 2 of them. So I'm kind of amazed that I, walked up to where I could see them better and took that video, because there's a time when I would have just run back down the trail to my car and called it a day. So luckily, I don't think you could hear, if I was swearing, it was, in my head or whatever. So
I just found the box. See the little there. Now I can get it. Yeah, I don't hear. I don't hear any cussing.
It was internal at least.
Well, Kim, I know you worked several summers at the Grand Canyon,
Right.
serving the visitors there. Did you have to undergo any rattlesnake education, or did you do any rattlesnake education while you were there?
No, I didn't. There are certainly snakes there. In fact, there's an endemic snake there that you occasionally see on the rim, on the south rim. It's primarily down in the canyon where it's warmer. It is a rattlesnake. It's called the Grand Canyon pink because it has evolved into a sort of a pinkish tan color to blend in with its surroundings. And it was years before I ever saw one. And then I was down at the bottom of the canyon working, I think it was April. So of course they're coming out. And then I felt like I was seeing them left and right everywhere. It's like, okay, I've seen one now. That's enough. You know? And I did have one rattle at me once because I was walking along a trail and didn't know it was there. And I ran back to the ranger station and hid for a while. But and that I think that's the only type of rattler I ever saw at the canyon. There are others, but I think the pink is the only one I ever saw. And then what's your take on what's happening here?
So I did a little reading on, well, one on just snake mating behaviors in general, because I was sort of hoping against hope that maybe here in Kane County we've got some dancing snakes too, and turns out we don't. I came across a paper that was written back in the days when Nerodia, which is the genus of water snakes that we have in this area, when they were still called natrix. So that goes back probably at least 40 years, but the paper talked about natrix behaviors and colubrid behaviors, both groups of non-venomous snakes. So the natrix would be our water snakes, our garter snakes, and probably the most famous mating spectacles of the natrix or Nerodians would be the balls of mating behaviors that we see in the springtime, where the males just kind of go and you know, they all pile up on a female, and whoever, you know, gets there first gets the girl. The colubrids, like our fox snakes, they will sometimes pursue a female, but we don't see this male on male display like what it is that you saw. Now, what I was able to gather about this, Kim, was that this is two males, and it's really kind of analogous to when two male deer will battle it out for mating rights in a certain area. With this, the one account I read that talked about black-tailed rattlers, they said that usually the heavier snake has an advantage, and he will try to push the other snake, that they try to push each other down. And the one who gets pushed down, then they don't tend to bite. That's not a battle of that sort, but whoever gets pushed down then sort of cedes the breeding rights to the guy that pushed him. That's what I took away from it. Maybe you've got a better explanation.
No, and I mentioned the site that I put it on, and because I don't know a lot about snake behavior, I assumed this was some sort of mating behavior. And so, I put the whole thing online, and initially it was about half and half. Some folks said, it was mating behavior, and then other ones said that it was more likely two males who were competing for a female who was likely nearby. So then my first thought was, holy crap, there was another.
Three of them?
Yeah. And of course I didn't see her, so she could have been right behind me for all I know. So that was like, and at the very end of the video, several people said too about what you just said about one pushing the other one down. And where the video stops, they sort of both kind of go down toward the ground and scrabble around or something they start moving much faster. And that's when I ran. So that's also, that is the end of the video. I had kind of seen enough at that point, but I didn't know that this was something so unusual to see. I assume people who maybe like snakes or went looking for them or, paid more attention or whatever, maybe saw this a lot. And I got so many responses about, oh my God, you were so lucky. Well, I don't know about that, but, and this
You're
trail
living the
was-
dream, Kim.
yeah, I guess. This trail was very overgrown. We've had a lot of rain this summer, which is good, but I was walking through, grasses that were knee high or more, where it was even hard to see the trail in a few places. So, I thought I was being pretty aware of what was around. I have my hiking poles with me, and stomp around a lot and so forth. And these guys just happened to be in this little clearing. So after I walked away, I turned around and looked back so I could kind of remember where that was, because I had to come back that way. It was an out and back trail. And I thought, and then when I came back, I didn't see them, which made me think that's not good because I don't know where they are now, at least initially. I knew right where to find them. So I did not see any of them an hour or so later when I came back that way.
So now that behavior, or your behavior that you just described, the stopping and the hiking poles and everything. I know we have several good-natured viewers that travel in the wintertime. Some head out to places like Arizona. Is that a good hiking technique to practice?
Well, it's what I've always done. And I mean, if they're coming for winter, the snakes are generally not around. They're hibernating. So it is chilly enough for them most of the time. So, late April, May, when things are warming up, and especially when the nights are, you'll start seeing them out and about, looking for warm places. I mean, I've always learned that snakes are deaf and they read vibrations. So hence stomping around.
Jumping and feeling.
Yeah, I never sit on a rock anywhere, that without tapping around it with my poles if it looks like there's any gaps underneath. In fact, when I got back to about this spot, there was a couple coming up the trail and they looked up and said hi. And she said, "Have you seen any rattlesnakes?" I said, "Well, now that you mention it." So I said, just stomp a lot. And it was funny because as they passed me going up the trail, I could hear them stomping. So, so whether it works or not, I don't know. I haven't had that many close encounters with them. So, and I'm pretty clumsy and stumble and stomp along anyway. So I'm probably letting them know that I'm coming, even if I'm not consciously trying to do that. But the hiking poles are a constant companion.
Got it. Well, so the other thing I was reading about how the rattlesnakes in southern Arizona, I thought maybe they would be active year round, but that's not the case. They do because the nights get quite cool, don't they, in the winter time?
They do. And, in the desert, of course, we always have a big temperature swing between, day and night. And over the next, month or so, we might still have days in the 80s, but it'll be well down into the 60s or maybe even upper 50s at night. And even now on the hottest days, if it was 97, I think today. And if I was to go outside now, which is what, 6 o'clock or it's 7 o'clock here, it's quite pleasant. So, there is a pretty big temperature swing. So even at that time, even though the days might still be warm, they might be out, basking in the sun, but just like they do otherwise, they kind of skedaddle and do some hunting at night. But that, they are, of course, sensitive. And we get nights down into freezing. And I'm at about 2,500 feet elevation here, but in the Tucson area, I mean, we have, it varies quite a bit. The foothills of the mountains are about 4,000 and we have Mount Lemmon here that's over 9,000. So there's a pretty big elevation variance as well. So they tend to be down, of course, at the lower elevations. And then this was probably at maybe about 3,000, 3,200 feet where I saw these guys.
Oh. Now remember, Kim, you're talking to a bunch of people in Illinois, so we have to translate.
I know.
Those are really big hills.
Yeah. I remember.
Well,
I was actually up over 8,000 feet over the weekend up in the Chiricahua Mountains out to the southeast here. So luckily no snakes were around. I mean, well, I didn't see any, I should say, but I was out with a group looking for a wildflower. So a little bit of a different excursion.
Different group, different
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah.
So, in reading up a little bit more on the life cycle of these guys, they are ovoviviparous, which is the same term we use for our garter snakes, which means they, the female will carry her young in her body in like an egg sac that breaks open, and the young then come out in what appears to be a live birth. Then they are coming out of an egg, but the egg doesn't have a shell. She carries them in her body until it's time for them to come out, and which is what garter snakes do. They said the gestation, and I was thinking, again, I'm thinking desert, I'm thinking heat, I'm thinking, wow, they must be cranking babies out all the time, but their gestation is
God, I hope not.
just think, Kim, you could go up this trail in the spring and find.
I may never go back.
Well, actually, you know what? I didn't look up what the clutch size was, but they said 4 to 5 months for gestation. So.
Oh, that long, really?
Yeah, but I guess, if they're spending some of that time in a hibernation state or an inactive state, that would make sense.
Yeah.
The other thing I should probably check into too. We were just talking about this the other day. We were talking about bats and how bats mate in the fall in this climate, but then they don't become pregnant until spring. They have what's called delayed implantation.
Right.
And I don't know if snakes are that crafty to do something like that or not.
Yeah, I don't know about that. And a lot of bats do that. And the same with the ones here. And just this last week, I went out, we have several bridges here that what's really cool is the county has made sure that they are bat friendly. So they design them with places for bats to roost underneath. So last week, Kelly was here and I took her and we watched about 7,000 Mexican freetails come out from under a bridge here at sunset. It was really cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah. There's a video on my page from a few days back if you look for it. It is pretty darn cool. So and there's been a couple of places we've gone to, but they estimate about 7,000 at that particular bridge. So, and they were almost all Mexican freetails. So it's pretty cool.
Now,
and they'll be leaving soon.
I was just going to ask you, do those hibernate? Or do they migrate then?
Yes, they'll go farther south down, probably down into Mexico. And right now, the other side of that is we have the lesser long-tongued bats coming in from Mexico. So now I have bats at night at my hummingbird feeders, which I've never had because we didn't have those bats up in Sedona. So I'm pretty excited about that, even though I am going broke buying sugar.
So you have
they
bats
are draining
in your hummingbird feeders.
Yes. And I keep trying to get pictures. We picked up a couple on our game camera, but the pictures aren't very good. So I keep trying to get some decent photos or videos of them coming in. They're usually here pretty late at night, which is not exactly conducive to my schedule, but it would be worth sitting out there one night to see them come in. But every morning all 4 hummingbird feeders are dry.
That's so cool. So that's,
It
again, anybody making their travel plans for this winter, rattlesnake.
Yeah, well, those guys will be gone too. They're just here for a few weeks, whereas the regular insectivores are here all summer. These guys are only here for a few weeks and then they will be leaving again. So
the you said the long-tongued bats?
Yes.
You said long-tongued bats?
Mexican long-tongued.
Would they then also be feeding on flowers?
Somewhat, but there's not the problem for them. It's kind of crazy. The saguaros bloom before they get here, and I had several night blooming cactus that have these huge flowers that are just rich with nectar and get a lot of moths, but those bats aren't here yet. So, and those are now done blooming. So it's a little bit of a mismatch, which I think is why they're hitting the hummingbird feeders so much. There's just not a lot of other things for them, in the area. So they just come through, and everybody's talking about, some people actually take their feeders in, which I think is just terrible, but
Oh,
that's
they
my
don't-
opinion.
they don't want to feed bats?
I know why. So I can't imagine. So,
So are these long tongue, again, I'm gonna have to read up on these. I've heard of long tongue bees. I have not heard of long tongue bats.
yeah,
Do they,
yeah.
are they strictly nectar? Do they,
I believe so.
so they're not
believe
like
so.
lapping up any insects or anything along the way?
I don't think so. I think for most bats, they're one or the other. I think there are just a couple of species that may do both, but most of them are either insectivores or nectivores. I don't know if that's a word.
It is now.
But yeah, so anyway, this is the first time we've had the experience with them. So
Yeah.
there are some good things about being in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, Kim, for one, it's great to hear your voice, and two, to have this fabulous snake wrestling experience here that you were able to share with us. Really appreciate your time on that as well. Tell you what, I'm gonna stop the screen share, and we'll turn it over to the group here.
Well, thanks for having me join in. This was great fun. You guys had some great pictures on the bees and the fledglings and all that kind of stuff. So very fun to see you. My computer is still trying to load the Zoom program, so I have no idea what happened there.
Kim, this is the classic. You have the good-natured tech hex.
Oh,
that,
you're jinxed. I didn't know that.
Oh, I would say every week. Today I had my microphone on backwards. So, it happens every week. It's part of the fun.
I love
But
it.
I don't know if you can see the chats here, but people think it's really fascinating.
Oh, good. No, I can't. I saw one earlier, but none of the others have popped up. So,
Yeah.
well, good. I'm glad people enjoyed it, but I'm going to shut up and let you talk to the group.
Oh, really quickly, can I ask him a question?
Sure.
Of course.
So do you know if the long-tongued bats might be in Phoenix? Because my brother and his wife live there, and they have all sorts of nectar feeders out for their hummingbirds.
I
I'll tell 'em to
don't
look.
know. I primarily heard of them here, and like I said, everybody I know is talking about them being here and draining the hummingbird feeders, but I'm not sure if they go that far north. They're coming up from Mexico, so I don't know how far. It's certainly warm enough there for them. I just don't know if they travel that's another 100+ miles north of us. So
Okay.
I'm not sure. If their feeders are being drained overnight, then I'd say, yeah.
I'll tell them to keep a lookout just in case.
Yeah, right. Because they won't be around much longer. They'll be heading back south again pretty soon.
So it's a
Cool.
seasonal.
Yes.
They're coming. Are they, when they show up at your feeders, Kim, are they coming from the north, or are they?
No, they're actually coming up from Mexico and then go back.
Oh.
And they just showed up about 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So they haven't been here very long. And then what I've been told is that they turn around and head back again. So I'm not sure what that's about. I haven't read up on them as much as I should. So I need to learn
again,
more
you
about
haven't
this
even
stuff.
been in Tucson, the Tucson area for that long, right?
Permanently. We moved in late February, early March. So yeah, so it hasn't been all that long.
Your
But,
first black-tailed rattler mating battle season. So
yeah, that was
hopefully
yeah.
more to come.
I don't know. We'll see. Now that I know how excited everybody gets about it, I'll have to grit my teeth and not run away and, scream like I have in the past. But it was very cool.
Diana's commented that she's reading about black-tailed rattlers as we were talking, and she said they're considered docile, they seldom rattle, and they seldom bite. So she says that's good news for you, Kim.
Thank you, Diane. That is good to hear. That's what they said about the Grand Canyon rattlesnake too, but I think it's just what they tell the tourists, but I had a tarantula in my house one time, and someone said, just pick it up and put it outside. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. So give me another option.
Those are your other favorites.
Yeah. The big hairy spiders. And
Well,
I've
but
got,
you did.
we have great lizards here. I really love my lizards. So I can deal with them a lot better than some of these other critters.
Well, and didn't you have a little epiphany about scorpions? Didn't you lead some scorpion hikes?
Actually, yeah. When I worked in the canyon, after the evening program there, we would take people on scorpion hunts because, they fluoresce under black light. So we would actually walk around, and we had a mule corral right there, and it was like heaven for scorpions because of all the mule poop and all the insects.
Wow.
So yeah, it was really a lot of fun. In fact, you always hope that you had, maybe 60 people show up. Please let us see a scorpion. So I had actually bought a fake one and painted it white so that it would glow. And if we didn't see any, I would scare everybody with like
Yes,
this
the
4-inch. It was a 4-inch scorpion, and nobody ever figured it out that it wasn't real. It was pretty, they were taking pictures of it and whatever. So it was pretty funny. We do have them here. I found a dead one in the house about a week ago.
Right.
So yeah,
Well,
that's something
we
else to
do.
worry about.
We haven't done it in a while, but for last winter we were on kind of a will it glow kick, and I was putting all kinds of things under a black light to see if it would fluoresce. We learned about how some wildlife rehab centers will use a black light to age the owls that are brought in, because the younger owls will their feathers fluoresce pink before they go through their first molt. And let's see, there's some salamanders that fluoresce, and
Cool.
what started it all was flying squirrels. Flying squirrels in this area will fluoresce a really bright pink color.
Get out.
And then Valerie, Valerie used to, her dog had gotten an opossum in the yard, and she put a black light on that, and it was like the psychedelic. There was chartreuse, and there was purple, and there was pink.
Who knew?
As yet undetermined as to why it does that, but yeah, really cool colors. So we might have to have you back, Kim.
Yeah. Well, I think you should come here, do a KCCN trip here or something, I'm going to be down at Organ Pipe this winter. So if anybody's heading out this way, that's where I will be from October to April. So that'll be a whole new world of desert critters that I'll have to deal with.
Will you'll be leading hikes there and stuff?
Yeah, I got hired for the winter season, so I start next month. And yeah, I'm super excited about it. But and that's a true desert park. So it's quite spectacular. It's about 2.5 hours from here, and the southern edge is right along the border between the States and Mexico. So it's quite gorgeous. I recommend, and if anybody's headed out there, let me know. It's pretty cool.
Super cool. All right. Well,
So
that
good to
takes
hear
us-
your voice, Kim.
say that again.
Susie?
It's
Is that
Susie.
Susie?
Yes, so
Oh,
good.
Susie.
So good to hear your voice. Oh my, I miss you.
It's good to hear yours as well. Did you think my dancing snakes were a wonder?
I did. I think I put that on Facebook that it was a wonder.
I think you did.
There's so many wonders out there. It's unbelievable.
I know, every day, right? There's something
Yep.
else. It's so
Yep.
much fun.
That's true.
Well, thank you, Susie. It's good to hear you too. Are Kim and Sarah on?
I think Kim was.
I'm here. I'm here.
Yes.
I'm
there's
after the
Sarah.
gardeners meeting.
Hi,
Oh,
Sarah.
'cause I didn't see you before.
It is great to hear your voice.
Yeah,
You too.
and it's great to hear your voice, Kim.
Thank you, Kim.
I think
A
we
little
need
reunion of the nature nerds.
I think we need to go out to Organ Pipes.
Yeah, well, if Kim, if you'll make a scorpion magically appear, I think that would be worth it.
There must be scorpions. Of course, they're it's kind of a not winter thing either for them. Once the nights get cool, they do sort of disappear too. So, but by late spring of next year, we may start seeing them down there. So they'll probably be around longer down there than they will here because it is warmer. But I'm not sure exactly how long. So I'm sure they're out there.
Well, Kim, great to hear your voice, and I sure appreciate you spending some time. Now you can go, because it is only 7 o'clock by you. You can go have maybe a little bite to eat. And
I don't miss any meals. Don't worry about it.
Right. All right. Well, I'd say I'll drink to that, but I don't miss my
Yeah, I saw
beverages. It's empty already. But
Thank you for the invitation. This was great fun. I hope people enjoyed the pictures, and I certainly enjoyed all the other stuff you had on here. It's a lot of fun. It's like going back 12 years or whatever it's been.
yeah, well, maybe you can join us again sometime, Kim.
I would love
Your
to.
time.
Thank you. Okay,
And
good night.
have a great rest of
Bye,
your
my
week,
dear.
everybody.
You too. Bye, everybody.
See you next Tuesday.
Thanks, Pam and Kim.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. That was
Thanks,
great.
Pam.
Watch
Thank
out for
you.
the
Welcome.
ugly
Good night.
snakes.
Thanks, Kim and Kim.
Night, Pam.
Bye, guys.